Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. Test mic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check, check, 1, 2. Who's old? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check, check. Anybody need more?
Hey guys, I don't know if you guys can hear me and see me. If you're in the comments, hit 1 if you can hear and see me. Should be good. Okay, good. So now that we got that, thank you so much for the ones there. Now I'm going to mute my microphone for a second. Hit 3 if you can hear and see the press conference. I'm trying to do that so you, most importantly, you can hear and see the press conference. So I'm going to mute myself because I can hear it, and tell me if you can hear it. All right, we're good to go. You guys can hear me, you can see me, you can see the press conference. I'll mute myself while they're talking this time. I know some of you don't want to hear me talk when they're going. But before we get started, we've been kind of saying this right along, you know, what we think's going to happen. And it looks like, depending on where you come from, worst fears have come true, which is Brian, most than likely, has taken the coward's way out. And there's one of two things. It does appear that he's dead, but we'll get that affirmation in a couple seconds. However, the question's going to be, was it self-inflicted, or did something happen while he was out there? Did he get eaten by a gator? From what I'm seeing online, nothing substantiated yet. It looks like whatever human remains were found in an area that was underwater for most of the last couple weeks. So it's possible that he was dead almost immediately after his disappearance. Again, self-inflicted, or was he out there trying to hide and he got grabbed by something, you know? I would tend to think it was self-inflicted, but I'll be interested today. I do believe they're going to tell us that Brian Laundrie's dead. They had the parents out there this morning. That was probably an identification and notification of death. Because, again, if he was underwater this whole time, as we've talked about in other episodes, water does a lot to the body in a very short period of time. So it'll be interesting to see if that is the case. And secondly, if they'll say cause of death. If he was underwater for 2 weeks, it might be hard to identify how he actually died. They'll need a pathologist. They'll need a medical examiner to determine that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. The press conference starts in 5 minutes. So I'll take a couple questions. Stephanie's not going to be on today. She's texted me and stuff. She actually helped me set this up. So Stephanie, if you're watching, shout out to you for helping me set this up. I'm glad it worked. And going forward, when we do these things, this is what you'll see now. So this is pretty cool. We get a live, video feed, and we can be in the corners kind of commentating on it as we go. I was watching some of the videos, very obvious based on who's going in there, evidence collection teams, the tents they're setting up. there's still more to come in this story, but depending again on what you were hoping for or what you wanted, the story for the most part is coming to an end because Brian's going to take whatever happened with him, you know, as he goes on to wherever he goes. Probably nowhere good. But that does appear to be the case. I saw a photo where the police officer or FBI agent was kind of like shoulder on Chris Laundrie's shoulder. That's a classic, you know, hey, sorry to tell you, but this is the situation, you know. So it'll be interesting to see what they actually tell us today. Are they going to tell us, you know, pertinent details, or are they just going to give us a few things? So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to hear what they have to say. My personal opinion, you know, I'll hold judgment until after the press conference, but if he is in fact dead, and it is self-inflicted, I've been saying it on Twitter all along. You guys know how I feel about it. He's a coward. He was a coward for killing Gabby. He's a coward for not having the balls to answer for what he did. As far as, you know, allowing Gabby's family the right to confront him and tell them what they think of him in a court of law, you know. Oh, is Stephanie in here? I can't see. The comments are, I'm on a different type of, you know, I'm on this melon thing, so I can't see the comments. I'm only seeing a few here and there. But we'll see what happens. Again, reports came in very early this morning. They reopened the reserve, and very shortly after that, they found articles believed to be connected with Brian. You know, depending on how they want to put things out, it might have been human remains right then and there. And again, from what I was hearing, these items that were found, or these human remains that were found in an area that was underwater for most of their search. Now, obviously, with the water receding, there's more opportunity to look at these areas. We do know that Brian's parents were out at the reserve this morning. Some have reported that they were out there before the human remains were found or before these articles were found. I don't know if I believe that. We'll have to see. It does appear, from what I was seeing from some, that a lawyer did come out for them and say that they notified the FBI that they were going to be out there looking for him. So maybe that was the case. But we'll see. We should know very shortly. It's all speculation at this point. But my hunch is that they're going to tell us that they located who they believe is Brian Laundrie based on identification through the parents or identification through dental records or distinguishable marks on his body, whether it's I don't think he has tattoos, but scars, whatever. We'll see. We will see. Interesting to see if they say cause of death or manner of death. If it's blatantly obvious, they might. But and a lot of times they hold off, even if they know or if they have a good idea, until a medical examiner comes out officially and says cause and manner of death. All right, he has 2 tattoos on his hands. So if it's human remains and he still has his arms and his legs, then that's one thing they'd be able to use to identify him. A lot of people have a little crush on Derek. I can't see the comments really, so I can't weigh in on that. I'm only seeing a few comments here and there. Like I can see the comments just very slow. So these are the only ones I'm seeing. Are there alligators there? I believe there are. It is Florida. So hopefully, well, I guess I shouldn't say that, what I was about to say. I think you know what I was about to say. It's Hoffa. Was it confirmed to be Brian? No confirmation yet. No confirmation yet. Right now, we're watching the press conference together. We're going to hear what the FBI has to say. The fact that they're doing this so quickly tells me that they were able to make an identification of those remains very quickly. And because of how polarizing this case is right now, about how popular it is, that's why they're getting in front of it before it leaks. Kelsey Mitchell says, I was about to agree with what you were about to say. I bet you were. I live close to the park, says Kylie. Coward yet narcissistic, I don't think he would have killed himself. I have a different look at it. If you're coward enough to kill a 100-pound girl with your hands, you're coward enough to take your own life, whether that's by gun, something quick. Unfortunately, probably painless. But for me, people like Brian, they're so much of a coward. They don't want to be in a prison with real badasses in a lot of ways because I don't know how else to say it. Brian's going to become someone's bitch, to be honest with you, if he's there. It's not going to go well for him. So I'm not trying to be funny. That's the truth. He don't want that because those are some real tough guys. Okay, here come the FBI. Looks like local law enforcement. Probably have some people from the medical examiner's office. High-ranking law enforcement officer. That might be the chief. I see 4 stars. I think that's the chief. Those little hashes on his arm. Okay, I'm going to be quiet.
Good afternoon. Josh Taylor with the Northport Police Department. Thank you for your continued diligence on this story, and thanks for your patience. As you know, the Northport Police Department is working...
Can you guys hear it okay? Hit 1 if you can hear it okay.
FBI throughout this investigation. Special Agent Michael McPherson is going to make a prepared statement. There's not going to be any questions today, but hopefully it answers some of them. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael McPherson. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the FBI Tampa Division. As you're aware, the FBI and the Northport Police Department and our state and local law enforcement partners have been searching the area of the Carlton Reserve for Brian Laundrie, a person of interest in the murder of Gabby Petitio. Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie. These items were found in an area that up until recently have been underwater. Our evidence response team is on scene using all available forensic resources to process the area. It's likely the team will be on scene for several days. I know you have a lot of questions, but we don't have all the answers yet. We are working diligently to get those answers for you. We are grateful for the dedication and professionalism of the Northport Police Department, along with our partners from the state and local agencies. Complex investigations such as
guys, I can't turn it up. You got to turn it up on your end. If you can't hear it, go find another stream or turn it up on your end. I have it as loud as it can go on my end. We're using a third-party software.
Portions of the Myakkahatchee Creek Environment Park and Carlton Reserve will remain closed to the public until further notice. This is an active and ongoing investigation, so we ask the public to maintain distance from any law enforcement personnel, equipment, vehicles, and other related activity for the safety of the public and to protect the integrity of our work. We have no additional comment related to today's activities. Our FBI Denver office is the lead investigative agency, and all future inquiries should be directed to them. We appreciate the tremendous support from the public and continue to ask for your assistance in bringing this investigation to close. Thank you.
Was the backpack found near the body? Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice for
Why are they saying justice for Gabby?
Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice
That might be the end of it. If it is, I'll close this out.
Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby!
Okay, I'm gonna probably stop this. So hold on. Let me see if I can close out the stream here. See if I can close this out. Give me a second. Okay, I think we're good here. You guys can just see me. Get the comments up here. Okay. All right. So, yeah, they're chanting. Stephanie's texting me saying they're chanting because they aren't answering any questions. But my point is, like, you chanting, or they're not going to turn around and go, oh, you know what? Let's answer some questions. You guys are chanting pretty loud. Okay. So pretty much what we thought. It's unfortunate news, right? Coward's going to be a coward. That's what they do. I've been tweeting about it for weeks. Stephanie and I have talked about it. I kind of saw this one coming. The guy really is, his whole life has been like this. We talked about it. We just recorded the first part of our Gabby Petitio series, and we were talking about Brian a lot and some of the things, the behaviors he's displayed, not only in these last couple months, but throughout his life. And he's a coward. He's a coward. He's someone who stays to himself, not because he's not only an introvert, but he thinks he's better than people. And ultimately, I feel like he's intimidated by a lot of people, especially people with aspirations like Gabby had. So what we learned today, what we were kind of saying before the stream, there was an area of the Carlton Reserve that was underwater during this entire search. You might say, well, why didn't they have divers in there or whatever? Maybe they did. Maybe they just didn't get to this particular area. And now that the water has receded, they're able to find more things. They didn't say whether it was a local person, a public person, or an agent that found them. But ultimately, there were articles belonging to Brian, a backpack, etc., and human remains that were found at the scene. So, common sense, it's reasonable to deduce that it is Brian Laundrie that they found. Although, as I expected, they're not going to confirm that today. They're going to use dental records, identification through family members, distinguishing marks like tattoos or scars, to ultimately come out again with another press conference and say definitively that it's Brian. So that's going to kind of what actually happened. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but what actually happened the day that Gabby was killed, we're never going to know the exact specifics. I think we can come to some reasonable conclusions. There was clearly an altercation between the two of them, and Brian, being the coward that he is, strangled her. I think that everything we know as far as him coming down to Florida, I'm not going to kind of repeat all that. He comes down to Florida, and what's interesting to me, the one thing, and I'm kind of looking into it here, but what's interesting to me is I have a hard time believing, and way off in the comments, I have a hard time believing that if Brian's intention the whole time was to kill himself, his family would have helped facilitate that. What I mean by that is like his father and mother would have brought him somewhere knowing that he was just going to kill himself. And if he was going to do that, why not just kill himself in a car or, wherever? Why go out to this reserve? So I wonder, as time unfolds, and I'm interested to hear these results, if the cause of death is self-inflicted or due to the environment he was in. Did he fall in and drowned? Was he caught by an alligator? I don't know. I don't know the area. I don't know the topography of that area at all. But the fact that he had a backpack and things like that, it makes me wonder if he was trying to hide, he was trying to get away, and something happened. Darn it. So sad to hear it if that's the case. But some people have said in the comments, he's too narcissistic to kill himself. Maybe you're right. Maybe this was an accident that happened to him while he was out there. And this was the result of him trying to hide in the darkness of night without preparing properly for these types of conditions, because there was a sense of urgency. There was a rush to get him out there. But yeah, I have a hard time believing that his parents would have taken him somewhere just so he could kill himself. And if he was going to kill himself, why bring a backpack? Things like, why go to this Carlton Reserve? I don't know. So that is the one piece of the puzzle that we're still waiting on. And hopefully the human remains, there's enough there to determine, cause and manner of death, because it would be interesting to see if it was self-inflicted or accidental. Something happened while he was out there. But this is an unfortunate story either way, because Gabby's parents do not get the opportunity to confront their daughter's killer. And I'm calling him that because I think based on everything now, it's pretty safe to say that he killed Gabby, and he was on the run, and either he killed himself or something happened to him while he was out there. And either way, he's not going to have his day in court, and therefore, if he were found guilty, the family would have the opportunity to speak directly to him during sentencing. They're not going to get that. They're not going to get a chance to look him in the eye and tell him what they think of him. And so that's a real loss here. It's a real loss here because it doesn't give them the closure that they deserve. And you have someone who changed their lives forever, who, in my opinion, some people disagree with me when I say this, but he really did take the coward's way out if he killed himself. And even if he didn't kill himself, it still was the coward's way out. He's on the run. He doesn't want to face the consequences for his actions. And therefore, we're just left with this unknown question, right? Like this unknown answer as far as like what actually happened that day, what led to it, why. Why did he do it? There's no good justification, but why? What? And here's the thing. If you want to find some silver lining in it, I can pretty much guarantee you that even if he were found alive, and Stephanie, again, we talked about this, more than likely he never would have admitted to it. And if he did, he would have had a rationale as to why he did it, some justification for it. And so you wouldn't have gotten him to come right out and say, yeah, I did it. I don't think. But it's interesting, someone just saying here was thinking about it, and actually Stephanie was saying it too. If the notebook and the backpack were underwater, there's going to be nothing there. maybe it was a waterproof backpack. I don't know. He was a hiker. Maybe I still agree with you that there's a lot to be desired there, but I wonder if in the backpack we'll find out. And again, Stephanie wrote this here, there was a notebook. Maybe there was a suicide note. That would be amazing if there was a suicide note to kind of maybe explain, maybe a confession. That would be admirable of him to do. To be honest with you, I still think it's a coward move, but if before killing himself, he left a note explaining what happened, the true story of what happened, I'd give him a little bit of credit for doing that. Still a scumbag, but a little credit. It's one of three things: suicide, accident, or someone's sense of justice. I didn't mention that. It's a good point. Did someone get to him before the police did? Interesting. Didn't think of that. Very interesting. I don't know. He was gone pretty quick. And you'd have to go back to when that area went underwater. It seems like it's been underwater for a few weeks. So it would line up with around the time of his disappearance, right? But just another sad story. This is the things about these, I like coming out here with you guys, but it's always it's kind of like going back to being a police officer. Whenever you call the police and we show up, it's usually because you're having a bad day. And just like when we do these live streams, it's always for kind of bad news, unfortunately. But at least we're going through it together. At least we're talking about it together. But yeah, this is depending on how you look at it. This is either good news because it's some closure. We're not there yet. There's never full closure. Or it's bad news because you were really hoping he was going to be caught and you were going to get to see him kind of do the perp walk in cuffs, walking across the place while he's being, escorted by police. You're not going to get that. And I know they didn't say definitively it was him. Guys, it's him. That's why you're here. I'm going to tell you straight. It was him. It's definitely him. There's no doubt about it. So they know that. They might already know the cause of death, the manner of death, but they're not going to say that just in case they're wrong. They don't want to have to go back and kind of, revise what they said initially because that's going to make them look even worse. Some people were saying, how did they go all this time without finding him? And now they did. Well, you kind of got that explanation today. They were kind of looking on land. They weren't really looking in the water, it doesn't seem. And he was hidden by the water. What % do you think suicide, Derek? Man, it's such a good question. The backpack and all these belongings throw me off. Like, I wonder if he was out there. Well, first and foremost, did he have access? Did he have access to a firearm? Could he have taken pills? I mean, there's a lot of things he could have done. I just don't see his family. Like, I look at it as myself as a father. If my son came to me and told me the truth of what he did, I would tell him to go to the police. He needs to answer for what he did, right? He needs to go there and be a man and take responsibility for what he did. If he said to me, no, I'm going to kill myself, I just need you to drop me off at the Carlton Reserve and I'll take care of the rest. I'm not bringing him. And it sounds like, and it appears that the Laundries assisted him in getting him to the reserve. Why would you do that? I don't know. So, I mean, I have a hard time with that. And the fact that he had a backpack with him, which would suggest he was, was going out there to try to survive on the land. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? I wish there was a poll I could do here. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm on a third-party app. I'm on this Melon. You can probably see it right here, right? Powered by Melon. They're getting their advertisement in there. But he could have done it so many other places without going out to this trail. Powered by Melon. And then there's a possibility that maybe we got it all wrong and he was with the parents and he took off on his own and went out to the Carlton Reserve to be alone to do it. Maybe the parents didn't take him there, but I think they did, and they did find his vehicle nearby, right? Aren't they saying that they found his vehicle nearby this location as well? So we have here, maybe he changed his mind. Survival instinct first, fight or flight, but staying alone in the wilderness for days on end ultimately resulted in him killing himself. We have something here from Green Mama. Suicides are common enough in parks. I'm sorry, the comments are going quick. I don't know if I can click on them to bring them up. Show on stream. Here we go. I'm learning as I go, guys. Suicides are common enough in parks that we had training for it when I was a park ranger in Florida. They're peaceful, secluded places. Great point. Great point, Green Mama. We know he was one with the land, right? He was definitely one with the land, so maybe that's where he wanted to take his own life. He wanted to be in nature where he was most comfortable, which really pisses me off because, again, he's controlling the situation and he's going out on his terms. So it just sucks. It just sucks. This is not a good thing, and in my opinion, it's not a good thing. You know, the fact that he's dead, I don't know if you agree with me, but that's, again, he's making out in that deal. You know, he's not going to have to face any of what he did. He just quit. Powered by pineapple, right? I'm going to show that on stream. Powered by pineapple. Can we block this melon? I got to figure out how to block this melon. Stephanie, if you're watching, we got to have a one that says powered by pineapple. For sure. All right. Do you think he may have been dead for quite some time based on the use of the word party? I can't see your whole comment here. It's blocked. I can't see your whole comment here. So let me see if I can open it up here. Particle? Is that what it says? So basically I have an arrow that's blocking you. So I can't see your whole comment. But I heard the word articles, the phrase articles multiple times. And, you know. Oh, partial remains. Thank you. Thank you. Partial remains. Yeah. No, I definitely think he's been out there for a while. But also, as you guys know, you've been watching the show for a while. Whenever the body is underwater, whenever it's in the wilderness, you have animals, you have the elements. You know, you can have a difference in the body based on shade or sun. If the body's in the sun, it's going to decompose a lot faster. If it's in a shady area, it's protected from the elements, rain, you know, whatever, sun, the body can decompose slower. Then you have the insect aspect of it, right? What insects are prevalent to that area? A lot of times you have to bring out entomologists to determine, you know, when you have a dead body, you usually have maggots, and you obviously have experts who can take those maggots and determine the exact time that they were, you know, they became that, you know, when they started to develop. And based on those, the development of the maggots, of the fly larvae, you can determine how long the body's been there. So there's so many different things. They'll look at the weather. They'll look at the conditions in which he was in. If he was underwater and there are gators in that area, I can only imagine what the body looks like, fish, whatever, all going at it. So I don't know. But they seemed confident enough to come out and do a press conference hours after finding it. That coupled with his backpack being right near it. I mean, guys, come on. Let's be honest here. Human remains next to Brian Laundrie's backpack, unless someone planted it there, which I guess is possible. Very unlikely, though. I'd be willing to bet a large sum of money that nobody planted a body there to kind of, and with a backpack to make it look like it was him. Although, again, it's not impossible. Parents for those out there have to deal with this. Prayers for those who out there have to deal with this. Absolutely. Yeah, and calling his parents to the scene, you know, calling his parents out there. I think that's, you know, something they might have brought over his backpack. I don't think they brought him out to the body. Maybe they did. But I can more see them bringing over articles of clothing or the backpack itself and asking them to identify certain items as if they were his. And very quickly they're going to be able to do that. It's weird that they went look. No, the FBI probably called him out there. Can his parents still be charged if Brian is dead? You know, aiding and abetting, could they be charged? Impeding an investigation, obstruction of justice. I think there's opportunities for that. Absolutely. They would need something tangible. They would need something that gave them probable cause. But there's a few charges, definitely. Aiding and abetting for one, obstruction of justice two, but I don't know if they'll go there. We'll see. I don't know if they'll go there. They would have to have a pretty substantial case to do that. Do I believe they knew where he was? I believe they knew he was at the Carlton Reserve. Obviously, as soon as they dropped him off, where he goes from there, they don't know. And I mean, some people have speculated that he had a line of communication directly to them. I don't know how they would have pulled that off without the FBI knowing. I really don't. So I don't see that being the case. But I'm pretty confident in saying that they knew his last known location was the Carlton Reserve, which is why law enforcement spent so much time there. Which is why Chris Laundrie was out at that area as well multiple times looking for him. So I think it was probably a situation where they were helping him escape to the extent of, hey, we're going to get you out of here. We're going to put you in you got to try to get down to whatever the case may be. But, I do believe, my personal opinion, that there was a point where they didn't know if he was alive or dead. Again, to go back to what I said earlier, I have a hard time believing that the Laundries would have brought Brian to the Carlton Reserve knowing he was just going there to kill himself. He might have lied to them. He might have lied to them and not even told them the truth. So, Jelly Valencia, if they dropped him off, why would his vehicle be there? It's a good point. And again, this is under the speculation that they knew. If they dropped him off, then obviously it goes back to what we were just saying as far as, would they have dropped him off knowing he was going to kill himself? However, if he drove himself there, then obviously the Laundrie wouldn't have a say in that matter. And maybe as we start to piece this together, we'll learn that although Brian told them he was leaving, he was going somewhere, maybe going to the Carlton Reserve. Maybe he told them, I'm going to the Carlton Reserve, I'm going to make a run for it, whatever it may be. And they didn't drive him there for this reason, so they wouldn't be connected to it. Maybe that's why the car was left near the area. He drove over there. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to plant his vehicle there afterwards if he wasn't in fact there. If they were just trying to throw them off, you wouldn't put the car where he actually is, right? Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it. So maybe that is telling for us. Like, the vehicle was found near the area where his body was eventually located. Does that suggest that maybe Brian drove himself there? Again, do I think he told the family what he was planning, where he was going? Probably. But a lot of people have said they believe that when they went to the campground, DeSoto campground, whatever it is, that the Laundries dropped him off at whatever location where he decided to flee, and that's where he left. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe they were at Brian's parents' house, and then he took his car, drove to the Carlton Reserve. Why he was driving there, the parents might have been misled, or they thought that he was going there to take the trails to try to get away. They didn't think he was going to kill himself. This comment here. This is a comment I'm seeing a lot, so I'll throw this one up. I smell BS. The parents finally go search and they themselves find his belongings. Are you kidding me? So suspicious. We got to find more information about this. If you guys have something that I don't have, let me know. Somebody just said the lawyer released it. People are saying that the Laundries are the ones who found his articles of clothing, the backpack, and Brian's remains. By all means, I'll throw it up on the screen. If we have confirmation of that, that's crazy. That is crazy. Out of all the people that have gone out there and searched that area, out of all the public exposure it's gotten, and you have news reporters and protesters and everything out there, and people who are, just looking for them themselves. If the Laundries went out there and immediately found him, they didn't confirm it's his remains. They did not, Hippo. That's fair to say. I'm telling you it's his remains. That's my opinion, that it's his remains. I do not think they would be out there doing a press conference if they didn't know. But there is policy in confirming that. Anybody else confirm that the Laundries were the ones that found the backpack and the human remains? Was parents who found it all? There's multiple people saying it. I haven't seen. If you have a source, hit me with a source. And I can search it quickly. I can search it, maybe even share my screen. But I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing it from you guys. And I did see something earlier that the lawyer said the lawyer notified authorities that Chris and his wife Brian's parents were going out to look for Brian. They notified law enforcement the night before. That is confirmed. I saw multiple reporters reporting that the lawyer released a statement saying, we notified law authorities that Chris and his wife, I'm sorry I don't know Brian Laundrie's mother's name. If you know it, throw it in there. We're going out there the next morning to search for him. I think people are kind of putting it together that they were the ones that found him. I don't know if that's the case. That would just be unreal twist in this story that the parents are the ones that go out there and search this reserve and find him within a couple hours. Come on. Yeah, their parents said they would be out there early. Chris and Roberta. Thank you, Chris and Roberta. CNN says that the parents, let me read this one because I gotta show them on the stream so I don't lose them. CNN says the parents met the police this morning. They searched together. And not far off the trail the parents said he frequented, they found the items off that trail. So, I mean, that sounds more reasonable to me, where they're out there with authorities. They're bringing them now to areas that could not be searched before because of the water, right? That was there. Maybe now. But I have a hard time believing the parents were out there on their own and all of a sudden they're calling the police saying, hey, we found him. So, Fox 13 News, TMZ. TMZ's your source. I love you, Kelly. TMZ's your source. God help us. God help us all if TMZ becomes our source. I like a good TMZ story as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to them for, because they constantly put stuff out there and then they update it throughout the day. They'll have different timestamps of where, and then by the end of the story, by the end of their updates, what they originally posted is nowhere near what is actually the truth. But that's not their forte. That's not what they're doing. They're TMZ. The parents went right to the backpack. Again, did they go right to the backpack or did they go right to the area where he's frequented? And again, someone said it earlier, could he have gone there because that's where he wanted to be when he took his life? Maybe he's sitting around an area where he frequented a lot and that's why he decided to go there for his final moments, which again makes my stomach turn because he got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. He went out on his terms, which just sucks. Which just absolutely sucks to think. Stephanie's still in here? I don't even know if she is. I feel like I'm without my partner here. When I'm only talking to myself, it's not nearly as fun. And I know fun's a tough way to say it, but it's nice when you have someone to conversate with. If the backpack and stuff wasn't water damaged, then they'd know it was planted there by the parents. I got you. So you're saying that if the parents planted it, they threw it in the water so that they couldn't trace it back to them. I get what you're saying. Maybe he was gator bait. Wouldn't hate it. Oh, Stephanie, she says you're not alone. Stephanie, I just lost you. No, I got you again. You're not alone. Stephanie Harlow. Hopefully that's the real Stephanie Harlow. I'm looking like an asshole. But I'm pretty sure it's her. Blink twice if it's you, Stephanie. So that's really it. I'm not going to, I got a ton of work to do today. We just recorded Gabby Petitio's episode 1, part 1 of the Gabby Petitio series that we're going to be doing. We really focused heavily on the backstory and also the body cam footage. We broke that down from the perspective of a law enforcement officer, but also using Utah law. So I think that'll be good to go over. That's going to be part 1. That'll be coming out on Friday. Today we just released the 6th and final part of the Lacey Peterson series on YouTube. It's been out on audio for about a week. I got you, Stephanie. I got you. Blink, blink. So again, to summarize, it does appear that Brian Laundrie has been found. He was right where they were searching all along, which leads to the point that they had communication with the Laundries and they were directing them there. That's why they were really focused there, even though there were reports of him being found other places or being seen other places. Where this story goes from here for me, and I think for most of us, is going to be determining cause of death, manner of death. Was this self-inflicted, or was this something that, happened while he was out there, or was it some form of street justice where somebody got to him, before us? Is it possible they come out and say this was a homicide? Of course it's possible. So we will see what happens. But either way, it's a loss. It's a loss for Gabby's family. It's a loss for our community because, again, another situation where you have these cowards going out there and committing heinous acts, from school shootings to something like this, where you have the balls to kill this young woman, but you don't have the enough chops to like stand up there and take it on the chin. You know what I mean? Like, answer for what you did. Allow the family to have their justice in court. You're just a coward. You know, either way. I mean, even if it's not self-inflicted, you're a coward for running like you did, you know? So I know that might not be the popular opinion with everyone. Someone might be like, you know, I don't know. You always have people who disagree with you. That's just my personal opinion. I know as the father, if I found out that Brian killed one of my daughters, I'd kill him myself. I might get in trouble for saying that, but that's the truth. You'd be finding me. But here's the thing. If I did, and that was my reasoning for doing it, I promise you this, I'd be walking myself into the station smiling. I wouldn't run. I would take responsibility for my actions. But these cowards don't do that. They don't do that. They have the ability to take advantage of people they can take advantage of, but when it comes to people tracking them down and wanting to hold them accountable for what they did, they have a tendency to run. Someone writes, I really hope it's not Brian. Gabby's family deserves answers. I don't trust and that's it. That's really what it comes down to. They deserve answers. They deserve to know what happened that day, why it happened, although there will be no justification that's fitting, but they deserve to have those blanks filled in. I can't imagine being in a situation where you lose your child and you have like the overview of what happened, like you know she was strangled, but you don't have the specifics of what led to it. Why did it get to that point? As much as you hate this guy, Brian, you'd probably want to have a conversation with him and find out what exactly happened. And then you can start to process it. Then you can start to grieve. But instead, they're left with this unknown. They have what they believe is the killer, the person who killed their daughter, and yet they're out there. And you know, they take themselves out before you have that chance. This is why they chanting justice for Gabby. I guess I can kind of see that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a jerk. But why you're chanting? Brian's dead. If he's dead, he's dead. You know, it's not going to change it. And the FBI, they told you they're not taking any questions. So they're not going to answer your questions just because you're demanding it. And at this point, it really doesn't matter. If he's dead, he's dead. If he's gone, he's gone. It's a shitty situation. There's nothing you can do about it. He ain't coming back. And so there's really no rush at this point. Do I think that Gabby's family will know before us, as far as, you know, they're talking with the FBI? Do I think there might be some off-the-record conversation that gives them some insight into the findings of the medical examiner before the public? I would hope so. They deserve that. And I'm sure they're conversating with FBI agents right now, local police right now, because they want to know as well. But that's for them. That's their right. That's their daughter. You know, they have the right to know before us. So we will find out eventually. And I'll end it on this. I'm really hoping he didn't kill himself. I'm really hoping that he thought he had it figured out. He went to an area that he was familiar with, and he was going to try to make a run for it, and things went south for him. And I hope it was painful. I really do. I hope it was painful. I hope whatever he went through was painful, because I do believe, my opinion, is that he killed that girl, and he's a coward, and he deserves to go out like one. And like I said, hope it was very painful for him. And I hope he was thinking about everything that had transpired up to that point as it was happening. That's my opinion. So I will leave you guys with that. Again, appreciate you guys joining us. We got to start doing some of these lives, these streams with Stephanie and I, where it's not always for these bad things, you know, that we're hearing about, that we're talking about. We do hop on here to kind of absorb this information together. I think it's always easier to process it when you have people to talk to. But we got to start doing them for more positive things, cases where we're helping. I'll tell you this. Right now, I can't get into the specifics, but for those of you who watch Breaking Homicide, I did a case in Seattle. The victim's name was Devin Schmidt. We identified an individual that we believe killed her, and that case has been in trial this whole time, and there will be a verdict on Thursday, 2:30. It's not going to be live or anything like that, but I will have those results. So those are the things we got to focus on, things where we can make a difference, things where we can hold people accountable for their actions. This is one of those cases where, in my opinion, the offender didn't take himself out and thought he got away with it. And he's now had his day in trial, and whatever the judge decides, I'll respect, and we'll stick with. But we will have more information about that. But that's really what we're focusing on, is holding people accountable, getting justice for these families. And unfortunately, in this case, it looks like Brian didn't want to have that. So again, appreciate you guys joining us. We will see you soon. If you haven't checked it out already, the Lacey Peterson sixth and final part is out right now. It just came out a couple hours ago. Check that out. Also, I want to appreciate all you. Thank you guys for all your requests to kind of put these cases into playlists, because some of them are long, like Lacey was 6 parts. So if you go on YouTube now and you want to catch up on a series, every case that had multiple parts has now been put into a series. So you can just click on the victim's name. We're labeling all the playlists by the victim's names. No fancy titles, nothing like that. Just the victim's name. So you can go there, search the victim's name. If we've covered the case, it'll be under his or her name. You can check it out. So appreciate you guys. We will talk to you soon. Stay safe out there. Give your loved ones a kiss today, okay? Take care.